How can you even start to want to achieve that goal if you never know what it is? Hey everybody, it's your boy Lynn Deasy. Welcome to the channel where we travel, experience life, and really just have a good time. But we always want to talk about the work you have to be able to put in order to make that a reality. If I do anything today that you like, learn, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. And with that, let's go to Japan. We get on the plane from Austin, and the first place we have to head to actually is Toronto, not Japan. I wish you could find a direct flight from Austin to Japan, but you can't, unfortunately. So we had to do a little bit of maneuvering and go to Toronto first, which is cool, right? Because I definitely want to maximize my PTO as much as I could. So I was like, okay, if we get to go to Canada, we'll spend a night in Canada and then we'll fly over to Japan. Because them 13-hour flights be something else if you ever been on one before. We ended up landing in Toronto, had points at this hotel, this Marriott hotel. I forget the name, but it was right next to this pretty fancy restaurant right across the street from our hotel. We wanted something quick and simple, but a little nicer than McDonald's. So we ended up going there, had a couple old fashions and a nice steak, and getting ready for that plane ride tomorrow, just because I know that food on that airplane is terrible. So the first day in Japan, I was super excited to really just get out and about. It's been a while since I had been out the country, and my first time in Japan. So I was like, we gotta go to Tokyo, we gotta go downtown, we gotta see all the sights. When I first get in, I know some people like to kind of rest and kind of settle in. That ain't me. I like to kind of get to it right away. So the first thing we did was take the train to Asakusa, and I didn't know much about it admittedly, but I mean, it was pretty cool sight to see. Really, really big temple, a lot of people, a lot of activity. And again, like I said, I just want to be out and about, but that was beautiful. A lot of street vendors, a lot of cool things to buy. I think we bought a few items, but really mostly I was like, let's go to Shibuya. But before we did that, I did want to go to Tokyo Skytree just because the day before in Canada, there is a Space Needle. And I booked dinner and everything, and it spins around so that way you can get like a 360 view of the city while you're eating a nice dinner. But we ended up not having time because things came up, so we couldn't do it. So I said we got to get our opportunity in Tokyo. So we did that, stood in line for a while. It was kind of long, but it was so worth it to get up there and just see how big Tokyo was. It was huge. I mean, just bigger than any other city I had ever been to or seen. The only thing that kind of compares to it is New York, but man, it was pretty awesome. Eventually, we did want to go to Shibuya, so we took the train to get to Shibuya. And just kind of like how you see it in all the other videos, people are walking across the street, everybody's enjoying themselves, taking pictures, there's a bunch of restaurants, and it was exactly what I had wanted. Because again, I want to start trips off fast, kind of get to the nitty gritty of everything. And so that first day was amazing. The second day, we kind of wanted to just take a step back and just enjoy nature and just kind of understand the Japanese people a bit more. So far, I'm noticing everybody's respect for everybody is so cool, but I wanted to kind of go off the beaten path. So we actually went on a hike. We took a train just because transportation is just so accessible compared to like somewhere in Texas, where if you don't have a car in Texas, you pretty much don't get anywhere. So ended up going up this hiking trail, had a beautiful view of this beach. It was fantastic. And then we ended up going down to the beach right after, right at sunset, which was so cool. And then we wrapped it up really with dinner.
I didn't know. I don't do that at home.
I spill it everywhere.
And day 3, just kind of want to hang out with family. My wife's family is from Yokohama. They live in Yokohama now. Pretty big city right outside of Tokyo, right a little bit south of Tokyo actually. And there's this place called Minato Mirai, which has like Ferris wheels and like right next to the bay, a lot of cruises kind of take off from that area. There's a whole bunch of shopping. So essentially we went to the mall, saw some pretty cool dogs in the display. I don't know how much these dogs were, but I mean, I could guess they're pretty expensive. My wife's parents have a Shiba at the house, so we weren't gonna get another dog here, but it was pretty cool just to kind of watch and see what they had. We ended up wanting to take the gondola, so pretty new. My wife grew up in Yokohama, but she had never experienced it because it was pretty new to date. So we ended up taking a gondola, getting amazing views of the city, and just kind of exploring Minato Mirai. And then later at night, we ended up catching up with some friends, super cool group of people, also international folks, and they used to live in Japan as well. And we just kind of walked around, and there was this kind of event going on. I have no idea what the event was for, but it was a bunch of lights and a lot of shows, so it was a pretty cool time. And then to end the night in Yokohama, we ended up going to this udon place. And I don't know too much about udon, but my wife loves it, so I ended up trying it. And it was actually pretty good. I definitely would pick ramen over it, but it was really cool to see them make it right in front of you. Now it's time to get it. Let's talk about taking a peek and how a little bit of exposure can change your life. I know everybody at some point has seen Need for Speed Tokyo Drift. That was my exposure. That is why I wanted to go to Japan. I was 12 years old, probably younger than that, watching that with my cousins, and we just made a pact. We said, hey, you know what? At some point in time, we are going to go to Japan, and ended up doing it. Yeah, exposure is the first step to any goal. You know, how can you even start to want to achieve that goal if you never know what it is? And that's why exposure is so important, because everybody talks about the grind. Everybody talks about, you know, waking up at 5 a.m., which I don't do. But to get there, you first have to have a vision and a compelling reason why. I really want to start a YouTube channel. I can't even remember the actual initial moment I wanted to do that. I kind of just stuck it out, and here I am again recording the video. So, and you know, this isn't like a process that, you know, always works out, right? Like the first thing I ever wanted to be was like a trash collector in New Orleans, because the dudes would be on the back of the truck, they'd be driving around, picking up trash, and I thought that was fun. And I was like, I could do that for the rest of my life. That's pretty easy. End up not doing that, but just because you are exposed to something doesn't necessarily mean that that's the end all be all. But the more things you are exposed to, and I do mean positive things that you are exposed to, gives you more of an opportunity to really see what's out there in the world. Because the world can be really small if you don't see much. And again, if you never see it, how can you really pursue it? An example that always comes to mind is this guy named Max Chewin, right? He's this millionaire candy maker out of Houston, Texas. And he started his company called Sour Strips, and he's super duper successful in that nature. But one of the things that made him want to go on that business venture was essentially him hanging around other people who also started businesses before. So to really cut to the chase, try things that are new. Put yourself in positions you normally wouldn't put yourself in. You never know what will happen or what direction it'll take you to. Like me filming this video, I mean, I literally will watch YouTubers all the time, and I was like, man, I really want to do that. And I was like, I can't, it's stupid, right? It's never gonna work out. But after months and months of planning, you know, and intentionality, I finally am in front of the camera right now talking to you guys, right? Because exposure can definitely work the other way around, right? You know, I mean, unfortunately, you see so many people are exposed to different things that take away from their creativity, take away from their drive. So you always want to keep that in mind. Now you get it. I challenge you to have a conversation with a mentor, somebody that you really respect this week, whatever, you know, whenever you get to it. But ask them about their life and, you know, the experiences they've had, different hobbies. Just like really try to pick their brain, and you might learn something about them that you didn't know, and that might be a common interest that you have. And on top of you maybe being exposed to something, you have somebody who can help you within that pursuit. So for example, I have a really amazing uncle out of Virginia, and we talk all the time about finances. Because growing up in New Orleans, like, we didn't know much about finances, but my uncle knows so much. You know, he introduced me to like a Roth IRA and like the S&P 500, which is really cool because you literally just take money, put it in that account, and it grows for the most part, right? It's nothing sexy, it's nothing flashy, but literally take that money and put it in that account, and you know, you look up in 20, 30 years and it'll be worth so much more because of compound interest, you know. And that little point of exposure helped me to kind of really formulate how I want to create a budget and how I need to prioritize investing instead of Chick-fil-A. And I love Chick-fil-A, but I don't want to be broke, you know, when I retire. So, all right, that's all today. I really appreciate your time. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we got a lot on the way. Peace.